Mastery. The possession of comprehensive knowledge, superior skill, or total command over a subject, activity, or technique. Becoming a master in any discipline is widely respected. It shows off a certain level of prowess that from the outside looks unachievable for many that don't associate themselves with said skill, and feels even more unachievable once you actually jump into the fray, leveling up your own proficiency because you understand the gravity of what it truly means to become a master. The meaning of master has become a bit diluted in Street Fighter 6 over time. What once was a sign of high levels of proficiency in the game is now an expected accolade in the pursuit of becoming a competent player. And even though its meaning has diminished due to the rising percentages of players crossing said finish line sitting somewhere around the 16% of the player base, master rank still means something to me. Street Fighter, likely for the entirety of its existence, is looked at as the mecca in the FGC, always sitting at the top of the throne in the fighting game space as what the pinnacle of fighting games is. While not every fighting game player interacts with Street Fighter, it's well respected by many. My first interactions with Street Fighter were all the way back with Street Fighter 2, largely playing against my brother and the computer when I was just a little kid. My next interactions with the IP would need a large jump in time, moving forward in time to 2009 with the release of Street Fighter 4. Now you may think this is where my fighting game journey really begins, but you'd be wrong. I was still just a dumb kid that didn't understand anything about neutral or the combo structure of fighting games. It would still take some time for me to fully commit myself to fighting games. It wouldn't be until 2018 with the release of Dragon Ball FighterZ that I would fall in love with the genre. I became addicted to the high intensity environment, completely ostracizing my other commitments to online gaming. The dependency on teammates to reach the victory screen no longer appealed to me when the ownership of my wins and losses could exclusively be my own in the space of the FGC. With my love of Dragon Ball, I slowly became exposed to the wider FGC, trying out all kinds of games for better or for worse, finally making my way back to Street Fighter with Street Fighter V. We all know the history of the game was very mixed, with the launch of the game being appalling, having many people fall off the game. But as time progressed, the game saw large improvements. When I first threw my hat back into the fray of the game, it went terribly. I was awful at Street Fighter. It took a lot for me to understand core concepts and fundamentals that Street Fighter required for me to see any kind of improvements, and even just minor ones. On a positive side though, with my being terrible at the game, it was cool because minor revelations at the beginning level would come with massive gains, making my improvements in the 1v1 environment feel palpable. I could feel it, I could see it very directly. As I improved, I found myself liking Street Fighter a bit more, but at the end of the day, the tag game environment would always appeal to me more. But my respect for the game grew with time. With one more jump in time, we make our way to the release of Street Fighter 6. With the release of the game and the intellectual property means a fresh opportunity to jump into the fire and see if I could become some level of proficient in the game. With my initial time in the game, I had my eyes set on Cammy, but as things moved on, I found myself really connecting with Ken. Ken, for a large portion of the game's life cycle, would be considered top tier, but in the hands of a lesser player would not truly reflect the same line of thinking, and my ranked journey with Ken would be very reflective of the Dunning-Kruger effect. If memory serves, I started somewhere around mid to high gold with Ken, and being the best out of my immediate friends, I thought I was much better than I actually was, believing in my potential as a fighting game player, and believing if I truly locked in, I could hit my long-term goal of master rank. This line of thinking was enforced with me being pretty good at other games I put my hands on, not amazing but competent. So in my mind, if I truly set my sights on locking in with Street Fighter 6, I could cross that finish line. I fought through the teeter-tottering of the rank climb to high platinum with a lot of resistance. I tried other characters along the way, and some of them placing higher than the rank of my main character in both Diamond 1 and 2. This fueled the belief that I really could do it. But the fire was fading for the game as a lot of my friends were no longer playing, and I was largely more fond of other games that I was playing. But the flames of the fire would be stoked with the release of Ed. I absolutely fell in love with playing this character. Seeing the potential of this character at the highest level, I thought he was beyond cool, and as a result, Ken fell to the wayside for me. I quickly tried to grind out some level of proficiency with Ed, trying to level up my new main so I could enter a local tournament with him.
Mid-screen, I guess. Oh, lands the dive kick. We're back in this corner now.
I know, mid-screen.
Uh-oh.
Accidentally ported himself, and this is not looking good.
This might have been a bad lead to throw. Oh, try
Ed was obviously regarded and is still looked at as being extremely strong. With my figuring out stable offensive sequences with the character, I'd crossed the finish line that I'd set my sights on with a different character than the one I'd started with. And for some time, that was it for me. I'd achieved my goal and didn't see much of the reason to continue playing the game. So for a while, Street Fighter lay dormant for me. It would always be there, but I was more committed to playing other games that I'd really vibed with. I would continue to be aware of things going on around the game, with some of the largest and most popular content around me being Street Fighter related. And with some time, enough of it built up where I wanted to try to cross that line once again. But some time had passed. The level of the game was beyond what I was playing before, so there were some doubts if I'd be able to achieve that same feat in my current state. There also was some thought in the back of my mind that I was enabled by a top tier character in the shape of Ed, and some doubts of if I could do it with Ken. For some time, Ken was regarded as top tier. He had long since been power crept by future characters, as well as some characters that would find some level of buffs. With my return, Ken welcomed me with open arms. My fundamentals were never the best in the game, just always good enough. I wasn't an expert at whiff punishing or hit confirming. I, at the end of the day, am just your average player. And while this might be a detriment to the community's perspective on the game hadn't largely changed with my time away from it. Ken was still roughly the same character that I played all that time ago, so it didn't take long for me to be right at home all over again with the game. There isn't anything large that I can tell you with my overall improvement with the game, but little revelations I made with my time coming back to it. Fuck Drive Impact. It's great for calling out certain things, but it's largely a bait and a crutch because better players will blow you up for using it, and you end up only spending drive gauge to get yourself blown up. The next thing is to get your confirmed damage. You don't have to get the most optimal combos in any given situation, just as long as you get the damage you should be taking advantage of. This means getting your consistent anti-airs. This means getting your full punishes, even getting the best damage you can off of things as small as jabs. There were a couple of things that were important in my combo game, things like pressuring with follow-up drive rush after a combo to assert my turn on my opponent, understanding when to spend drive gauge in a combo to leverage the drive gauge or not put myself in too much of a drive deficit, and having a goddamn safe jump. The weird thing about having a safe jump was most of the time, in a large percentage, the player I would be safe jumping on would just get hit by the safe jump itself. But by far the most important revelation I actually had was not in-game. There were a lot of times where I get home from work absolutely exhausted and tried to boot up the ranked video game, and due to my being mentally and physically taxed at the end of the long day, I could not commit the level of focus required for me to perform at my best. Some days I would see an increase in my points by small margins, but just as many days I would drop on the ranked ladder. My mind wasn't firing on all cylinders. I would get frustrated easier. I would try my best with just basic autopilot, and that wasn't for the best. If I want to play my best, I have to put myself in an environment where I feel my best. That means waiting for my days off to grind ranked, and if I want to play games after work, I should play casual matches. Making sure I'm not playing after waking up, making sure I'm well rested, and having whatever pick-me-ups I need to get me right, like caffeine. Put yourself where you feel your best so you can play your best, and it worked. I would go on multiple game win streaks as opposed to going back and forth between gaining and losing rank points. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully replicate a specific feeling I had on a very particular day where I just felt absolutely locked in and gained this mental levity and clarity, but getting as close to that as possible was beyond important. And as the win streaks kept coming, we'd finally reach the finish line once again, reaching Master yet again. While this isn't a major accomplishment for a lot of people, it still felt beyond gratifying, like I was still capable and not just as a tag player, but like I could be capable in any game that I picked up. For now, Ken is going to be put on the shelf for me to help out the homie who's coming back to the game, but also to find the next character I want to try to set my sights on. But until then, I guess I'm going through a character crisis until that time comes. I know this might have been an overly serious video for something not all that serious, but it was all just for good fun at the end of the day. All I ask is that you guys remember to keep on fighting and get ready for the next battle. I'll see you guys later. Peace.